Okay. We should be firm, yet maybe a little bit alarmed at the state of the world right now. Um, Only in that, right? Like, we're at a spot where it is very clear the government is moving in a very particular direction. And in my opinion, this direction is Christofascist. Um, there really is, yeah, in my opinion, like no other way, no other way for this to work. Um, all right, let's see. Hold on, I gotta do a couple computer things. Okay, I'm just trying to a little bit better. Alrighty. Okay, so hope everyone is doing all right. We are, like I said, yes, yeah, Ember, we're going in a pretty rough direction. Thanks for stopping by, being going up. Um, yeah, this went really, really quickly, and obviously, I figured this stuff probably would happen, and I'm navigating a mixture of feelings. Majorly, right? I am. This is supposed to happen. I think we're supposed to get reactive. At least, well, why else would they be triggering us like this, kind of a thing? So I think we got to not fall into the trap of maybe feeling overwhelmed here, feeling overwhelmed and like we've lost or something like that. Um, I'm not a person who's like everything in the world will always be made right, because that never happens, or at least it doesn't happen very often. Um, but we got to hope somehow. My whole thing, right, is the lyrics to that one song that basically say, um, like basically I'm kind of standing here holding firm and waiting, because I understand that being hopeless would be such a strange position to take, because of the way that our ancestors because of the way that our ancestors moved before us. So we got to turn. We got to turn to our ancestors, right? We got to turn to the people who have been here before. This is not new. Maybe it's louder, maybe it's a little bit more in your face than it has been in the past, but this is, yeah, this is where we're at. We've been here for a while. Um but people kind of say, yeah, they try this stuff out first on more marginalized communities, and then they kind of do it to the larger world, and people are affected by these things. Um, this is not, yeah, yeah. This is really intense. I'm navigating a ton of emotions, and I actually really do. Personally need to spend some time, like centering in my feelings and like getting embodied here. Um, there's like this really interesting sensation that's been happening in my chest, that I need to explore a little bit more. And I really want people to understand that the act of processing your emotions and like caring about your emotions, in my opinion, is an incredibly radical act in this world that tells you to forego the emotional for the rational. Um, yeah, like, you know, us being emotional about like, migrants being like ripped out of their homes. But oh no, you're being too sensitive. Like you can't be sensitive like that. They're trying to shut you down. They're trying to shut down these natural human feelings of concern and disgust, honestly, because of what's happening. And they're telling you, no, those feelings of disgust you're having, that's not real. It's actually hatred, and let's kind of be more push that narrative instead. Um, yeah, this is pretty intense. Uh, in a relatively, obviously, negative direction, and I'm laughing now. This is not going to last very long. um, we're gonna start navigating some of this, trying to wrap our heads around what exactly is going on here. I found a useful uh, a useful piece of text by this one. Okay, I found a useful piece of text by this one individual or two individuals, Stephen Fortrish and Christopher M. Piper. But I will show it to you guys, and we'll watch it together. Alrighty, here. Whoop. Right. So, um, okay. Trying to navigate. Okay. So, um, we are this thing does, I think, a pretty good job um of defining what we're dealing with here. And so we're kind of, I'm not going to read all of this. You can, if you want to rewatch this and pause this and look into it, you can. Um, maybe I will like paste this. I have to find the description of where I can do that, but I'll maybe like at least paste it in the chat for now. If it lets me do things, I'm not sure if that'll work. But if people want to look into that, um, so this is kind of what I wanted to read. So because I wasn't sure what populism meant. Populism is the political approach that um kind of, yeah, appeals to ordinary people. Kind of the whole thing like um ordinary people, you guys are struggling, but the elites are. It's such a strange thing because Trump uses this as a thing like you're being disadvantaged, but he's the one who's disadvantaging, like at least one of the many people who are disadvantaging the American people. um so very, very strange that this has functioned, but whatever. um all right, so okay, so authoritarian populism arises from the mass disenfranchisement inherent in the capitalist mode of production. So yeah, we are, yeah, we're disenfranchised. We're disenfranchised by nature of the mode of production that we're a part of. So yeah, yep. There's a populist impulse within the American politics, but then within Donald Trump, like I said, it's very strange. But we need to pay attention here. It just mentions that populism naturally morphs into fascism when attacked. Today's globalized world, the populist movements have developed into international nationalist um, incarnations across the world. Blake Stewart recently discussed transnational nationalism through the lens of far right civilization, which is helpful for the analysis here. Whether and how these authoritarian tendencies are legitimized becomes the primary concern of leaders, which is where religion comes into. By appealing to the religious discourse, fascists wear the cloak of morality and are legitimated. Is that the right word? Legitimated, I think, or legitimized or whatever, in the eyes of the majority, as individual commitment is generated through tension with society. Um, so here, institutional religion then has a choice. work with the conservative elite to protect original privileges, or lose salience in an increasingly polarizing world. So, from this perspective of gender, right? Gender is this thing that I'm, for example, for people who are wanting, things to stay the same, we are wanting, traditionalism, anything that goes outside of our very, very, very strict system, is, I don't know, bad or something. I'm not even exactly sure. Um, not exactly sure what it's supposed to be about. But yeah. So, but like I said, or like I was saying, with from the perspective of gender, for people who are trying to control the population, having control over the way you present in terms of your gender, like being culturally subversive, like these things are not part of the status quo. And if we're going to move from to the religious perspective of fucking around with gender, might leave room for things like, I don't know, sexual immorality, or might be paralleled to sexual immorality. Those things might get tossed around a little bit. And so Christians kind of see this, they might feel this little bit of concern, and they see this person who's kind of like, hey, I see your worries and concerns about all this gender stuff. I care enough about the women who are being harmed. And like, look at the language here, defending women. That's what this is about. He's wearing the cloak of protection of women in a patriarchal fascist society. This motherfucker does not care about women, but he's pretending like he does. He's pretending like he does. And it works. It functions. We believe him. And by we, I mean, other people. Uh, so here, we understand that basically how effective this is. Um, and we basically can see how, like, apparently, Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump in America have co-opted a little bit some of this Christian legitimacy, and it's been really effective, at least for Trump, to win over this larger piece of the population generally. So there's all of those things, right? Uh, man, toss a like to the stream for me losing my mind. I deserve some type of compensation for that at least. Um, okay, yeah. So this is just basically saying, like, this is nothing new. Like, we've been around, like, dancing around this for a really long time. But in my opinion, I think that this is the most loud. Like, this is the loudest that it's been. Um, okay. Here we go, guys. We're gonna read this whole thing. If I don't finish this today, we're gonna come back to it. I have a couple blocks today, so I will try my best. All right. Presidential actions. Yesterday, executive order defending women from gender ideology, extremism, and restoring biological truth to the federal government. That's where we're at. Help. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and laws of the United States, um, including Section 7301 of Title V, United States Code, it's hereby ordered. Section 1, purpose. Across the country, ideologues who deny the biological reality of sex have increasingly used legal and other socially coercive means to permit men to self-identify as women and gain access to intimate single-sex spaces and activities designed for women, from women's domestic abuse shelters to women's workplace showers. This is wrong. This is also transmisogynistic, by the way, guys. Um, yeah, we are utilizing the, I don't know, some of the kind of compassion bones in some of the people in the American politics who are saying, "Oh my gosh, wow, oh no, like this is so bad." Listen, look, this is wrong. What is this, guys? We just saw Where is it? The appeal to morality. I was gonna underline it and highlight it. If I can't find it, I won't. They wear the cloak of morality. That's exactly what we're talking about, guys. The cloak of morality. This is wrong, right? They're pretending. They're pretending to care. Okay. Efforts to eradicate the biological reality of sex fundamentally attack women, depriving them of their dignity, safety, and well-being. You know that misogyny also really, really affects the dignity, safety, and well-being of women. I really wonder why that's never been. We've never done any executive orders on that one. Weird. The erasure of sex in language and policy has a coercive impact not just on women, but on the validity of the entire American system. They are being so clear, guys. This is guys, they're being so loud about it. They're saying the capitalist mode of production primarily functions based on the nuclear family system. The husband, because we're having these two-parent male-female households, the husband goes to work, and gets paid for it. The wife stays home, does not get paid for any of her labor, and the man comes home and provides for her or whatever, and she's kind of subjugated to his rule for the rest of her life because she's trapped and doesn't have any abilities for more mobility. Obviously, those are a little, I would say, more outdated. Like some of those things are a little bit more outdated, but I think that is how capitalism started to function. And now that, for example, women are not in the workplace as much, we're starting to see some of the real difficulties with things like childcare in our society because this stuff doesn't work. This is not functional at all. Okay. Basing federal policy on truth is critical to scientific okay. Basing federal policy on truth is critical to scientific inquiry, public safety, morale, and trust in the government itself. This unhealthy road is paved by an ongoing and purposeful attack against the ordinary and long-standing use. Guys, it really is this. The appeal to common sense is, I don't know. It's like this appeal. I don't know exactly the words for it right now, but it's like it's not common sense. It's like, white supremacist Christian nationalist ideals, for example. So yeah, I'm not, hey guys, you're not wrong. Yeah, there has been an intentional and purposeful attack against what the status quo has been, which has been the patriarchy, white supremacy, like gendered bias, for example, all those things. Yeah, we have been fighting against it. We have been. And they're afraid. They don't like it. They don't like that we're fighting against the system. So this is all they're doing. Guys, these are power grabs. Power grabs. No matter what the fuck happens, guys, we will never go anywhere. You can write whatever the fuck letter on my passport. You're never gonna get rid of me. Ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll have to pry my non-binary identity out of my cold, dead fucking hands. You know what I'm saying? This does nothing to me. All it does is tell me that they're afraid. Go ahead, be afraid. Take away my X gender marker. I can see you shivering in your boots. All right, this unhealthy road is paved by an ongoing and purposeful attack against the ordinary and long-standing use and understanding of biological and scientific terms, replacing the immutable biological reality of sex with an internal, fluid, and subjective sense of self unmoored from biological facts. And guys, the fact that he is like incorrectly discussing sex and gender from a biological and scientific perspective says a lot here. And he's saying that having accurate science is important to make right laws, and yet he refuses to utilize accurate science to actually understand what's going on in terms of gender. Did you look into any of the research that kind of talks about the biological sex based like functions of the brain that push individuals towards certain gendered behaviors? the biological reality that pushes them in that direction. But no, we don't want to talk about that. All we want to do is talk about genitals because that's all we care about. PP or VV, that's all that matters. Okay. What do you have in your? I need to see your genitals, please, immediately. Pull your pants down. That's what this sounds like to me. All right. Invalidating the true biological category of women improperly transforms laws and policies designed to protect sex-based opportunities and laws and policies that undermine them, or placing long-standing cherished legal rights and values with an identity-based inchoate, whatever, social concept. And it's crazy because gender is a social concept to begin with. Like the concept of, yeah, whatever. Okay. I was gonna go live on TikTok. Um, all right. Accordingly, my administration will defend women's rights and protect freedom of conscience. Maybe that's what. Okay, by using clear and accurate language, that recognize women are biologically female and men are biologically male. Which yeah. So all that's saying is, they're just gonna write language that is gonna try to make this, or just like harder legally for this stuff, but doesn't change the reality, guys. None of this language changes the lived reality that transgender people exist. Transgender, yeah, whatever. Section 2, policy and definitions. It is the policy of the United States to recognize two sexes, male and female. These sexes are not changeable and are grounded in fundamental and incontrovertible reality. Under my direction, the executive branch will enforce all sex protective laws to promote this reality, and the following definition shall govern all executive interpretation and application of federal law and administration policy. Guys, I guess, like, really, I really want us to understand that we've shaken them up so much. Gender identity has scared them so much. They have to make executive orders about it. Like, we're talking about, like, the max, like, 2% or so. Like, I know it's much lower than that. It's like 0.9% of the population is transgender. So we don't like we're gonna yeah. This is again these this is how they demonize people. You can see this is how they demonize and marginalize people. You guys are weak and stupid and crazy, and all the stuff that you're doing is twisted and disgusting. But also you guys are really powerful, and you're challenging the entire fabric of gender itself, and so we need to set up these laws to protect gender. This is a really it's a very, I don't know, it's a mind fucky situation for me. All right. I'm really nauseous in this moment. I've mentioned, like, it's important to talk about emotions, and our bodies communicate emotion through sensation. And, like, I haven't even read what's on this page right now. Like, yeah, okay. Anyway. So, like, and the erasure of intersex people is fucking crazy here. I can't even begin to wrap my head around this right now. But sex shall refer to individuals' immutable biological classification as either male or female. Sex is not a synonym for and does not include the concept of gender identity. Yep. That's always been the case. Weird. Okay. And like, the thing is, okay, anyway, women or okay, guys. Okay, maybe girls with a capital G doesn't count then, because they need to be very specific with their language. And because you didn't put girls with a capital G, that means that girls with a capital G can be boys too, or males or whatever. Anyway, okay. Man or woman should mean adult, juvenile, and human females, respectively. Men are man, boys are boy, shall mean adult, juvenile, human males, respectively. Female means a person belonging to at conception to the sex that produces a large reproductive cell. Male means a person at conception to the sex that produces the small reproductive cell. We're talking about gametes here. And gamete size is a pretty accurate way of determining sex. And the thing that I don't have problems with here is that I agree with this stuff generally. Like the majority of the time, girls are going to be female, women are going to be female. The vast majority of the time. But yeah, there are some times where that is just not the case. Like mammals. Mammals are non-egg laying, we're warm-blooded. We give birth to live young, we breastfeed, all of that stuff. We are mammals. But the platypus comes around like, "What's up, bitch? Suck on these eggs." I'm a platypus. I am a platypus, okay? So I understand. I understand what you're saying. I understand that this is the general rule, yeah. And there are exceptions. Like I said, there like I've done the research, right? And there, to my understanding, there has been a case of an individual who I think had, at least at the time that they were studied, produced small gametes, but their body showed evidence that it had produced large gametes at one point, which is fascinating. So what is that person? Are they male or female? Their body has done both. What does that mean? Um, yeah. Gender ideology replaces biological category of sex with a it does not. Okay, anyway. Good God. Okay. With an ever-shifting concept of self-assessed gender identity permitting the false claim that males can identify as and thus become women and vice versa, and are requiring all institutions of society to regard this false claim as true. Gender ideology includes the idea that there is a vast spectrum of genders that are disconnected from one sex. Gender ideology is internally inconsistent and that it diminishes sex as an identifiable or useful category, but nevertheless maintains that it is possible for a person to be born in the wrong sexed body. It's just so fucking much. Also, if you have not liked the stream, like the stream. Um all right. So, gender ideology. This is a lot for me because I personally don't agree with this. Like this is not how I would define a lot of this stuff. For example, um like I don't think gender ideology diminishes sex at all. Like I find, yeah, sex is incredibly useful for a lot of things, like medical reasons. If like genital preferences for sex or something like that, like there are reasons to focus on sex or that sex is relevant and important. Um, but yeah, it does include that there's a vast spectrum of genders, and I would more maybe like the way that I kind of say it is there's a vast spectrum of experiences, and like gender is an experience, so there's yeah, maybe we can put them in different categories and stuff like that. Gender identity refers to an internal and subjective sense of self disconnected from biological reality, and sex existing on an infinite continuum that does not provide a meaningful basis of identification and cannot be recognized as a replacement for sex. It does provide a meaningful basis for identification because of the way, like, for example, and I know that I use like passing trans people as an example, but it's most effective, I think. Like, yeah, in the sense that there are ways that they can definitely do things that shift the way that they're identified, like and seen and identified in public, and it is useful as an additional way to kind of identify gender and stuff in the public eye or whatever. Section 3, recognizing women are biologically distinct from men. Okay. Okay. Within 30 days of the date of this order, the Secretary of Health and Human Services shall provide to the U.S. government, external partners, and the public clear guidance on the sex-based definition set forth on this order. Fuck me. Okay. Each agency and all federal employees shall enforce laws governing sex-based rights, protections, opportunities, and accommodations to protect men and women as biologically distinct sexes. Each agency should therefore give the terms sex, male, female, men, women, boys, girls, the meanings set forth in Section 2 in this order when interpreting or applying statutes, regulations, or guidance in all other official agency business documents and communications. I don't exactly know what all those things, what all that implies, especially like what does it mean for in 30 days, like for the health, the Secretary of Health and Human Services providing, um, yeah, I guess that just means we're gonna see within 30 days like, how far this stretch goes or something like that, and how health organizations may be forced to recognize like patients, for example. Um, I'm so fucking glad I got my legal name changed this year. Fuck me, because yeah, like imagine trying to convince a judge like against the federal law that says there's two sexes, like, hey, I'm non-binary, so I'm changing my name. Like that would be fucking crazy. Um, but yeah, I don't know if I even mentioned that I was trans, like courtroom. But anyway, um, all right. When administering or enforcing sex-based distinctions, every agency on all federal employees in official capacity on the behalf of their agency shall use the term sex and not gender in all applicable federal policies and documents. I honestly don't have a problem with this line. Like, because sometimes I get annoyed when when a thing is like, what's your select your gender, and it's like man or woman. Tell you my sex, but none of these tell you my gender. So that actually I don't mind that one. That one little thing for the one little bit way that it annoys me. I don't mind that. The Secretaries of State and Homeland Security and the Director of Office Personnel Management shall implement changes to require that government fuck me. Fuck me. They should let you do your first name. Like I'm hopeful that they'd let you do it. Um sorry, I didn't even get done reading and I was already mad about it. Sorry guys. Okay. The Secretary of State shall implement changes that require government issued identification documents to accurately reflect the cardholder's sex as defined in Section 2. Yeah, I just paid a lot of fucking money to get my passport done. So I'm gonna have my X gender marker for the next 10 fucking years. So suck it, Trump. Suck it. Okay. Uh and likely when I move though, I'm likely gonna move in the end of the year. I probably won't be able to get my gender marker updated accurately. Um actually is a little is it more than annoying? Yeah, it's more than annoying. It's like dysphoria inducing. So that's gonna be really fun to deal with. But like I said, we cannot let this stuff shake us. Like I know it's uncomfortable and it's gonna be hard. I know it's gonna be hard. But you cannot let this shit shake you. Like they want us to be scared. They want us to feel crushed and defeated, but that's just not the reality. This does nothing. This does nothing to our existence, to our lived reality. It might make some things more uncomfortable for sure, but we got to stand firm. Okay. Okay, agencies I think I finished this one. Agencies shall remove all statements, policies, regulations, forms, communications, and internal messages that promote or otherwise inculcate gender identity. And what does that mean, agencies? Like government agencies or all businesses, for example? Um, agency forms that require an individual's sex shall list male or female and shall not request gender identity. Damn, agencies take all necessary steps as been permitted to end federal funding of gender ideology. Wow. I don't know. I really don't know what that exactly means. I wonder if that means that there are specific, what you would call, like specific, like if they're trans nonprofits that have been getting government funding or something like that might lose funding, which might be a big deal. And once again, this might definitely like impact, for example, like yeah, wait. I'm actually gonna pause this for a second to entertain a different thought that just popped into my brain. I'm incredibly anxious about how this is going to impact the medical field. Like, I want to speed forward because I only have like 10 minutes left, but we're gonna be patient, guys. We're not gonna be able to finish this by 11. I'll have to come. Um, okay, here we are. Um, the prior administration argued that the Supreme Court's decision in Bostock v. Clayton County, which addressed Title IX or Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which requires gender identity-based sexes, for example, under Title IX of the Educational Act. This position is legally untenable and harmed women. Wow. The Attorney General shall therefore immediately issue guidance to agencies to correct the misapplication of the Supreme Court's decision. The sex-based distinctions in agency activities. I want to real quick. Let's just check Bostock v. Clayton County. Take a second to remind myself what, because it sounds familiar. I just am forgetting. Okay, fuck me. Alrighty. I knew this was gonna happen. People said, your rights are gonna be fine, guys. Your rights are gonna be okay. Wow, and he is using a very interesting angle as well. Remember, guys, they are always going to pretend to care about the children. They're always going to pretend to care about the children. I remember watching, I need to find it again. It's a clip of this woman. Maybe I'll find it and I'll show it in the next segment when I come back. But it's a clip of this woman who is basically saying, like, you know, integration, you know, is okay and stuff, but I'm just really worried about my children. You know, like, what if they end up like marrying an N-word? Like, that would be really rough. And they utilize, for example, like women, children, where they're mutilating children. Like, all of this stuff is utilized as the moral panic button. You know what I mean? Okay. So, okay. Wow. So, the laws, Title IX essentially protects discrimination because of sex and gender identity. And Trump is essentially saying that, okay, that like essentially the entire aspect of like gender identity, and they didn't mention sexuality, but they did mention gender identity at least, or the ability to discriminate against a person for gender identity has harmed women. So stopping discrimination from trans people has harmed women. Period. How? And it okay, yeah. Um, my brain is like being broken. Like, and this is what they're gonna say. Like, there was a woman who lost to a trans woman in a sport, or there was a trans woman in a bathroom, and I was very alarmed by it. Okay, I understand. Those things are scary. Like, for example, it could be really frustrating to lose, or to feel like it was unfair. Um, I mean, yeah, like they kick females out of sports for having too high testosterone. Like, it's a thing generally to probably feel some type of way if you lose who seems more masculine. I wonder if this is a thing generally in women's sports. Um, but that's not like harm. You know what I mean? They're not getting fired from their jobs for being gay. They're not getting fired for their jobs just for being. But now he's saying that whole thing about, yeah, the precedent that says that gay people are protected under Title IX. That seems or under Title VII. Uh, fuck. I'm so stressed. Okay. Federal funds shall not be used to promote gender ideology. There it is. There it is. Each agency shall access grant conditions. Wow. Wow. Fuck. all government grants. And like I'm saying, this is probably going to spread to a bunch of LGBTQ organizations, like nationally. Wow. Privacy and intimate spaces. Um, wow. And I'm very worried for trans prisoners. So, the Attorney General and Homeland Security shall ensure that males are not detained in women's prisons or housed in women's detention centers. Um, yeah. So, by the way, guys, a lot of times, this means these women are going to be pulled if they were, whether I'm saying this may be pre or post surgery, right? They might be those trans women might be ripped out of female prisons and put into probably solitary confinement in men's prison, which is incredibly psychologically damaging. People are like, well, you're a criminal, you deserve to be punished. Trying to see where are all these things. Okay, there's a yeah. We got to wrap up for right now. We got to wrap up from right now. And we will come back and finish this later. Because like I said, there's a little bit too much. There's a little bit too much to work through. Get through all this right now. Wow. Oh my god. Um, but let's take some time, guys. And I'm really serious about this. Um, I'm really serious about this. Um, you cannot like you cannot allow this shit to fuck with you much. Um, and as I'm saying that, this will fuck with you. It will. It's inevitable because you're a person and you have feelings. I'm a I'm a relatively sensitive person, especially sensitive to things that I'm passionate about or I think are important. Um, so yeah, this is gonna affect you. Like you're gonna have emotions about it. So when I say things like, guys, this is like, they're not gonna erase us. We gotta remain hopeful. Like, yeah, these things exist, and I believe that very much so. But we also have to come back to this place of holding space for the fact that this is fucking wild. This is gonna really hurt. I personally am really sad. Like, I remember how psychologically relieving it was to have my gender marker updated on my license, and to imagine that going away is frustrating. Um, very frustrating. And yeah, I do hope that I do hope that I continue to have access to things like medical care. So, like I said, so far, I haven't seen anything that's like mentioning medical funding necessarily, or fuck me, fuck me. Oh god, oh god. Okay, this is really like sorry. I read ahead to one last one and basically yeah, housing protection, like housing housing protection is gone. Um, like I said, we're gonna feel big, we're gonna feel deeply. Like turn like spend 10 minutes today, turn everything else off. Like please do this. Spend 10 minutes today just being quiet with yourself, feeling what's going on in your body. Maybe have like a something soft with you that you can like touch or something like that. Like give yourself a second to feel, like let yourself be overwhelmed for a couple minutes. Write about it. Get those feelings out. Like history is happening right now. You know what I mean? I'm sure 100 years from now, whenever something else probably happens to trans people, they'll be looking back. What did the trans people do back in the day when Trump came in and did all this shit? What did they do? How did they stay together? How did they stay sane? This is how we're doing it right now, guys. We're building history together. Thanks for hanging out with me. Take care of yourselves.